I'm honestly so excited.
Dope. Awesome. I'm just as excited. So hopefully, we can get some insight on, you know, just because I genuinely just want to bring you on just because I was interested in that whole wrestling scene because I was
Ah.
so oblivious to it. But before we get into that,
Mm-hmm.
hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the Two Degrees podcast brought to you by the Play On Foundation. Today's guest, I have not met her yet. We connected over Instagram after watching an episode of Midnight in Asia that featured the Manila nightlife, and it was just so awesome to see a professional wrestling league in the Philippines because I grew up as a wrestling fan and I had absolutely no idea about this scene. So I reached out and luckily I got the response. But everybody, today's guest is Vernice Gabriel, also known as Crystal. How you doing? Good
Hey.
morning.
Good morning. As you can see, the sun is shining behind me, so it really is a good morning and good evening
Yeah,
to you.
thank you. Good evening to the world. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you're from. But so I guess for the purpose of this interview, shall I refer to you as Vernice or Crystal? Which
Honestly, anything you'd rather say, like, I mean, because like before, I would always say like Crystal because that was like my wrestling name. But then,
yeah.
like, because of the Midnight Asia thing, everyone basically knows my real name now. So it's
Oh,
anything is fine. So
it
yeah,
exposed you.
yeah, it exposed me in a
That's
big,
so
big
funny.
way.
Oh goodness. All right. Well, I guess we can start with there is where did Crystal come from?
It's my second name.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, so I'm Bernice Crystal Gabriel.
Now, I don't know, it seems like when people create a persona, they don't try to use like a name that's associated
Ah,
with them. Why did you settle with Crystal?
it because like I didn't want to get a name that what you call it I wouldn't resonate with.
Mm,
Like I wanted to use a name that if someone calls me, I would turn to look.
okay. Okay.
Because like some wrestlers at the start, like I think I know some wrestlers here in the Philippines, like they decided on this like wrestling name, but then like when someone calls them and you're just like, uh, is that me? Oh, that's me. And I'm just like, oh,
Gotcha.
I wanted to use something close also because like I never really used my name Crystal because like for like most of my life I went by Vernice or like what
Hmm.
my high school friends call me V.
Okay.
And then I would always go by that name. So like to me like Crystal was like a stranger's name, but then like
Hmm.
it's part of what my parents named me. So I was just like, might as well use it for something. And now like half of the people that know me as Crystal.
Gotcha.
And now I'm just like Vernice and Crystal. I was like, all right.
Did that name then come to fruition for the purpose of wrestling, or did you start using that before wrestling?
Oh, it was just like really wrestling because before that
Mm,
I would always go by Vernice, like because like what you call it? I'm a big gamer. Like I'm actually a sports commentator, esports commentator. Like I
oh,
do
sick.
shoutcasting for video games.
Wow.
So like what my shoutcasting name is like, Vernice. So
Hmm.
like I like before I started wrestling, that was always what I used. So like I was always just Vernice, 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 and really like Crystal just came up like because I was wrestling. Actually, it was an accident because uh the way I started out in the wrestling scene, I did training for like a year and a half before I was able to debut.
Hmm.
And then because they weren't really like finding an easy way to put me inside the scene because the scene was like all men. So like
Mm,
having the first woman would be kind of difficult. Like you can't just throw her in and that's it. They had to like create a storyline in a
yeah.
sense. So like what they did was like put me in like as a announcer first, and then I was like a backstage interviewer, and then no one really like said my name before that. So like 3 months in, I was doing this like a interview segment, and they were like, you know what, Crystal? Because like my trainer at the time knew me as like knew my whole name like Vernice Crystal, and I couldn't decide if I should go with like Vernice or And then he was just like, you know what, Crystal, blah 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 blah. Like he was cutting a promo and everything.
Okay.
And I was just like, okay, I'm Crystal now. And then that's where it like just snowballed into this whole like Crystal situation that we're in now.
Mm, fair, fair, fair. All right. Well, with that,
Mm.
how did wrestling come about? Um, what was your upbringing? Did you watch like
Yeah.
WWE and WWF?
Um, when I was like a young little Vernice, like I was 4 years old,
Okay.
I remember like I like it's not like vivid memories. It's just like, tidbits. Like I remember kind of watching with my grandma and my uncle when I was younger, like a WWF match.
Your Lola was watching WWF?
Yeah, my Lola, like she was like a big fan of Bret Hart.
Oh
She has like
wow.
she had like the ultimate crush on him. Like she would always say, "Oh, you're so guapo, oh, so handsome,"
That's so
and I'm just
funny.
like, "Yep." And then, of course, my uncle, cause I think he liked the Undertaker. I'm not sure about that,
Mm,
but like, yeah, I think so.
fair.
And I think maybe Shawn Michaels was it? I'm not
Hmm.
sure on who my uncle loved, but yeah.
Okay.
Um it's kind of sad actually because I remember when I was like 4 years old, that's when my grandma passed away from breast cancer.
Mm,
But before that, you know how before we had like VHS tapes and it was really expensive to own one. So
mm.
what we would do is we go to like one of those rental stores. You can get VHS tapes. We would get like a WWF, VHS tape, like a WrestleMania or
Oh
something.
wow.
Yeah, and then we would play that in like the hospital TV. They had like
Mm,
VHS. Yeah, we had to connect it. And
yeah.
then we would just like, even though like my grandma would like have an IV in her veins, like even though she's in pain,
Mm,
she would just like be the happiest. Like she would be smiling and she would be pumping up her other hand that didn't have an IV. She would be just like, so like enveloped in it and like
mm,
living in the moment. So like it was like a like like another reality for her. So
mm.
like when I was like growing up, I was like, I want to do that for other people one day because like wrestling did this for my grandma. So
Yeah.
if there's a way for me to like give back to wrestling the way that my wrestling made my grandma
Hmm.
my grandma happy, and I was just like, yeah, I want to do that one day. And then like as a kid, you kind of forget what you want to do.
Mm.
There was one point I wanted to be like a botanist, I wanted to be a pilot and like a
That's so
teacher.
funny. That's so funny you
Yeah, and
said
then
botanist because like I wanted to be an ecologist. That was like
oh
my thing. I,
wow.
I wanted to discover like a new plant or a new bug.
Oh, nice. Cause like there was this like place on my walk home when I was like in grade school.
Mm.
Like there would be like a big like garden slash they would sell plants and like also do research on that
Oh,
there.
cool.
And I was just like, oh, those are so pretty. Like I would always like pass by, there would like be like a fire tree. I don't know if
Mm.
you know that. It's the
Yeah,
tree
yeah.
that grows like, the red flowers and it just looks so beautiful. And I was just like, there's so many plants there. I was like, I want to be a botanist one day.
That's cool.
And then yeah, I would pass by that every day walking home from school, and that's why
Hmm.
I wanted to be a botanist. But then
That's
like
fair.
it was kind of hard to be a botanist, so I was like, oh, pilots, planes, ooh. But yeah,
So then it went from wanting to wrestle and then that kind of went away and now
yeah.
I'd say
I
I
think
I classify like botany and like flying as like closer to realistic
yeah,
because there's there's kind of a sure path, especially in the sciences. If you go to school for particular things,
yeah,
you can fall into these lanes. And for becoming a pilot, it's just putting in hours. So it's possible. And then
yeah.
from then, what
I
happened?
I really wanted to be a pilot, but then I was like, I don't have good vision.
Ah,
Yeah,
is
and
that a
then
thing then?
that
So like pilots can't be a pilot if you have glasses?
I think like from what I heard from like when I was a kid, like you have to have like 20/20 vision to be a pilot. I'm not sure though.
Interesting.
Maybe
Okay.
this is like a gossip going around when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And but yeah, But I think when I was like a teenager, when I started high school again, I started getting into wrestling again. And then I
Hmm.
would be like watching Rey Mysterio, who's like my ultimate favorite. Like I have two t-shirts, like his mask and a
Nice.
pop figure. And yeah, it started there. And then I kind of stopped watching wrestling because I was entering college, and then I started watching again when I was like in my second year or third year of college, when it was like the Shield was a big thing.
Hmm. What were you studying in college?
Music.
Oh wow. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. Uh and then I started getting into it, and I was like at college, and then my friends were like, "Oh, Vernice, did you know that there's like this independent wrestling place here in the Philippines? Like they're starting out, they're actually looking for more people to train so that one day they could be wrestlers." And I was like, "You know what? It was just okay." So like I grew up being like a boyish type of girl. Like I was really into sports, and yeah, so I had like two guy friends who I watch, like we didn't watch together, but we would watch, and then like, Tuesday classes would come in, and like during the cafeteria breaks we would be like, did you see the episode of Raw? Oh my gosh. We
Nice.
would be like that, and then we're like, oh dude, let's go, let's totally go like to the tryouts and audition for it. And then I we all got in,
Hmm.
and apparently they were too busy to show up.
Aw.
So I got in and I continued wrestling and training, and now, years later, here we are on this interview with you podcast. Yeah.
But no, you can't skip all that. You can't just jump from
Ah,
the tryout to this interview. Like, so you were in university, and then
yeah.
did you finish university then? Did you complete
No.
that? Okay. So,
Um, there was like a kind of I had depression
hmm,
years ago, and I think my university days were really bad because like at the term when around the time that I auditioned, I was trying to get over the depression already. Like I had meds and everything. And then actually when I started wrestling, it kind of pushed me up like into a better place because I was finally doing something like I'm passionate about.
mhm,
It wasn't just like an everyday schedule type of thing that I'll class home, or
right.
like class and then like, oh, it's Friday night, go out drinking with your classmates.
Mhm.
And then wrestling really started boosting me up. And then at the time, I really didn't have it in me to continue school,
Mm.
just because like for some reason, yeah, school just kind of what you call it, brought me down in a sense.
Yeah, no, that's
So
fair.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I decided that I would just, I took a leave of absence from college, and I kind of never got back into it. I just kind of just,
that's fair.
permanent leave of absence. So
Yeah. So you were studying music. What aspect of music was it, and what were you
uh
hoping to do with that?
actually my whole like, title, like uh music business management, major in performance and sound production.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I partly wanted to be like a singer, but also like I wanted to, what you call it, do events, will be part of like the sound production part
Yeah,
of the music making. And
gotcha.
also because I had this like one class, it was like music business management 101.
Mhm.
So we had to like do events, we organize stuff, and like for some reason my teachers trusted me to do it. So they were like, Bernice, you're the head. I was like, I am I'm a first year. Okay.
That's funny.
Actually, I wasn't a regular student because like I transferred from another university.
Mm.
I was studying like a pre-law course under like international
Wow.
study, but it was like a pre-law course, and I was just like, this ain't for me. So my mom was just like, okay, it's all right. I just transfer out, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I transferred to like the music business management, and then yeah, it was more for me. But then like I was technically like a first year, but like an irregular student because I had some classes credited from my previous university, and
Yeah.
then so like everyone else, like there was like two or three first year students in my course, and then everyone else was just like a fourth year or graduating student. I was like, you want me to handle this event? There's like all these seniors here, and I'm just like, really?
It
Just,
was
yeah,
it
you'll
was
be
it was your
fine.
pre-law. Your pre-law put you above,
Maybe.
above them.
Maybe. But yeah, it was like really like jarring because like
Mhm.
me being like a first, yeah, well, freshman transferee, and like all these seniors, I'm just like, ah, okay,
That's funny.
I'll do it. I can do it.
Now, one thing I don't
Mm.
know, I'm curious to hear, in terms of your education and then leaving that to pursue wrestling. So my background before acting was I fought professional Muay Thai,
Wow.
and I the thing that stood out to me the most when I was watching that episode was watching your
Mhm.
mom's reaction, because that was the exact same thing that my mom was going through. The only difference was I was actually getting hit. And,
Yeah.
so to see like your mom kind of recoil when she saw you get slammed onto the mat
Yeah.
was, so with that, like, I want to explore your mom's involvement and
Yeah.
how you had to navigate that, where it's
Ah.
like, what was the conversation like when you're like, okay, mom, I want to do wrestling, and then on top of that,
Uh,
I want to do wrestling, but then I'm going to drop out of school.
right. That was actually really hard, but I think it was easier because she saw how happy I was getting. Because
Hmm.
like I've said, like I was going to like major depressive disorder before that, and then I was just like really sad. Like she saw me with moping around, like I would be sulking all the time. I didn't really do anything. I didn't really go out of my room. I would just come out of my room during like meals.
Hmm.
And then I was getting more active and livelier when I was resting. So like I feel like a bit of that, the way she saw me like get happy or like improve, I think that kind of softened it for her. Like I
Hmm.
want to go into wrestling. And I think also because my mom, okay, so technically my mom has seen me fight before because I did taekwondo for like 6 years.
Okay.
But like, the thing is like competitive taekwondo, you have padding
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
You like the headgear, and then the shin guards and arm guards and everything. And it wasn't as like skin to skin contact as wrestling was, or as Muay Thai and kickboxing and boxing would ever be.
Yeah.
But um it was hard for her during the start because like during me training, it was so different from the way she saw me do other sports before.
Hmm.
Because my athletic background is I did like swimming for like nearly, I think, more than 10 years, to a point that I was like a vice president of our high school
Oh
uh
wow.
swimming club. And then I did like taekwondo at the same time, and then I did cheerleading before I tried in my older university when I was pre-law. So weird, right? Pre-law international studies student, also cheerleader. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And now
uh
you're a wrestler.
yeah, I'm a very active person. But yeah, she saw how happy I was getting, so it kind of softened the blow. And then it when I finally like had the conversation with her,
Hmm.
she was just like, I'm not really like happy about this, anak. Uh, but anak is like daughter or son.
Yeah.
It's gender
Yeah.
neutral. And
Yeah.
then
I'm Filipino, by the
she
way.
was,
So
oh right, no,
yeah.
because like maybe some of your viewers wouldn't know what anak means, so
Well, that's what they have to Google after this, because
maybe they don't know the spelling, but yeah.
yeah.
And then she was like, I'm not really happy about this, anak, but I see that you're happy doing this. I'll try to support you, but I really don't like this. What she would do to support, like, I think like she bought me like a gym
Aw,
subscription, and then she also got me a trainer for like the 3 months that she got me the gym subscription.
that's
And she was
cute.
just like, yeah, she was like, anak, train your body, get hard. Like get like like muscular hard. Because like before I was just like lean from
Mm,
like the cheerleading and the swimming and the taekwondo. I
mhm.
didn't really bulk up, and like she was just like, get hard.
That's so
And then
funny.
yeah, she would also like, I would set aside my own money from like side jobs that I would do. Like I would buy like not as expensive knee pads. Like I would buy like a $10 knee pad from like the other shop over there,
Mhm,
like the sports shop. But then like there was one time that my knee pads were like falling apart, and like my mom, I think, saw that there was like a bruise on my knee because like I
mhm.
hit something and my knee pad wasn't really that well. She was like, anak, we're going out to the mall. We're going to the sports shop. We'll get you expensive knee pads. I was like, I can't afford them, ma. No, I'll buy it. I'll pay for it. Get the expensive knee pads. So
I
she would just
love
like,
that.
yeah, she would buy me like the more like expensive equipment just so that she knows I'm safer.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, like the more expensive knee pads. I think I have like pads for almost everything.
Nice.
I also have like athletic tape for my body.
Mhm,
But yeah, I think that's her just being the concerned mom, and she just like the way, like what you saw on Netflix is actually just a bit of it, because she was like bawling, and when I was with her, like after that bit, she was really crying. And like
yeah.
I think one of my photographer friends who photographs for PWR and the regular, he actually took some snapshots of me and my mom hugging and crying even
Mhm,
during like right after the match before I got changed.
mhm.
So like she was like really like pouring her eyes out. But yeah, it was really sweet because
Was she
that was,
crying because she was anxious that you were fighting and it was like a show that you were getting tossed around, or was she crying because like you're chasing your dreams and
I think it was like a bit of both. Like she was
mm,
crying because it that was like a main event.
mm.
That was like my first time being the main event of PWR. And then
That one that they
she
recorded was the main event? Like you were
yeah,
facing a guy that was like twice your
yeah,
size. Jeez.
yeah. I was the first woman to have like a one-on-one like main event
Yeah.
match in the Philippines. So it was kind of like, wow, wow, I'm here.
Yeah.
And then it was like a bit of both because like she was so proud, and she knew that the Netflix show was like the Netflix team was filming me.
Mhm.
Like she never, like when I started out like saying like I'm gonna quit school for now, and then like I'm just gonna chase wrestling. And then all these opportunities came by. Like I had like a trial with WWE. I went to like multiple countries. And then Netflix, filming me. She was like partly scared because I like that's the first time she saw me like it. You know how she'll call it like a normal match in the middle of a show is kind of different from like the main event because you kind of up the ante.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it was like a rougher match rather than the one that she saw, because the first
Mm.
match I had was like it was more like a comedic, not comedic, but like it was just like a more lighthearted match other than this, because this was like a championship main event type of
Yeah.
match. So it was like rougher on me. So like the first match she saw wasn't really like anything. It was like a fun match. But then this one was like more bam. So she was
Mm.
like crying because she was worried and also proud because like, oh my god, this whole team of people, like three cameras, four cameras are filming my daughter
Just for you,
and
yeah.
also filming me, crying. I think so. Yeah, it was like I think both that she was proud and anxious at the same time.
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
cute. No, that's beautiful. Now, you mentioned the WWE thing, and
Yeah.
I want to go into that. And how far
Yeah.
did you get? What what did you expect going into it? And then when you were actually in it, what took you by surprise?
I was actually supposed to be part of the Mae Young Classic, the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the American embassy kind of didn't, you know, accept my visa application.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
damn.
I think the time that Trump got into office and was kind of like
Ah,
being more secure about the borders and the visitors and
that's bullshit.
tourists. Yeah, but yeah, it was actually a bit annoying because like I had this like whole, WWE sent me this whole like this thick of a paper stack of like law stuff that I didn't honestly I did not understand most of it. I just saw my name and then stuff.
Mm,
And they knew because like they've had visitors from other countries like probably given the same file and they would always come in and then like I would think because they never really had anyone from the Philippines actually Southeast Asia like
mm,
visit and be part of like a tournament of theirs.
yeah.
And then it yeah it they were taken by surprise. I was taken by surprise. I was crying for like
Yeah.
a week
Mm.
because I was there. I was almost there. You know, I was invited, and they even like announced it on the WWE site. Like Vernice Crystal Gabriel is gonna be
Oh
part of the Mayan
man.
Classic. It's like
Yeah.
oh my god! But they had to take it down like after like a
Oof.
day of it being up, like a 3 hours of it being up
Yeah.
because I declined. Anyway, so they were like, "Don't worry, this won't be like the last opportunity." Blah blah blah. And then like a year later, they had like a Asia tryout. It was held in Shanghai.
Mhm.
And then well, who knows if ever they'll contact me if they're still interested. But I'm just gonna do my best and try to keep on keeping on. And
Mm.
after that, I went to like I went to like Japan. I had like my debut in Japan, and I had my China debut. And at the time, I was already wrestling in like Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand.
Mm.
I wrestled one in India. So yeah,
Nice.
like just so you know, like Southeast Asia
Hmm.
is actually booming with wrestling. There's a Singapore scene, Malaysia scene, Vietnam scene, Thailand. I think that's it.
But now with
There's
that,
a Hong Kong one
what's the
too.
ratio with male to female wrestlers?
Very low.
Mm.
So like before, it was actually funny because when I started wrestling, I was like the only girl, and there would be other girls in training. It would be like the same thing with like other countries. Like
Mm.
I came out and I knew that like Alexis Lee from Singapore was the first girl, and like like I knew all the first girls because we would end up wrestling each other. If I go to Singapore, I will be wrestling their only girl. If I go to Malaysia, I would be wrestling. Actually, no, I've never wrestled a girl in Malaysia because they did like intergender matches, and I was like part of the
Mm.
first intergender matches. I was really proud of that. But yeah, it was just like all the first girls in every like Southeast Asian country we kind of all know each other
That's
because like
awesome.
it's such a it's a tight knit community because like when we started out we were like kind of like pioneers for our respective countries
Yeah.
because we were like women can do this too
Yeah.
because as you know like the Philippines is a big Catholic country
Mm.
and women are normally just like kept as housewives or support
Yeah.
but yeah uh after some girls saw me starting to wrestle, that's when the interest of other females to come in to start training and they were like, oh, I didn't know they accepted girls. And then
Mm.
yeah, so thankfully now there's 5 active women in PWR.
Nice.
I think 5, yeah, 5. And there's because like and then there's like some girls in training,
Yeah.
but like I think some girls left because like they thought like it like some of their parents didn't like it or
Mm.
like they found it too hard. Like they wanted to, but it was just like a lot. Because
Yeah.
like the thing is like women do have like a higher pain tolerance, but like the face bump, right? Like when the wrestlers land on their faces,
They
it's kind of
stand on
more.
their faces? No, I don't
No,
know
no,
that.
we land on their faces.
Oh yeah,
Like how what move? Like a bulldog. Like how we face plant ourselves on the mat.
yeah.
It's kind of harder women because like men don't have anything over here. So that's why like when the girls like start out, because like I help out with training and stuff. Like when the girls like first start out, like their first day would be like ow ow ow. So it's like the next time you come in, wear a very tight sports bra.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so like they would take that and they were like, oh my god, thank you for the tip. So like I feel proud that I'm able to help the girls now with like, because like when I was training, when I was starting out, no one really like I was trained by boys, like they didn't really know like any difference. So like I was, trained kind of rough.
So what was then the politics of that, where what was it like when a guy would go easy on you for the purpose that you were a girl?
I would say like, no, dude, just do it, do it. I don't care. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Cause like I think there was like one time, there was like a new trainee. We were teaching people how to chop, the Ric Flair woo. Of course, you have to put that in there. But yeah, he was really, cause like he was really like there's like a like this is the chest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he was really trying not to hit my boobs. So he ended up like hitting me here on the throat, and I was like, oh, dude, just hit me on the chest. I don't care if you hit my boobs, just don't hit my throat. Because like that's kind of worse. Because like at least like I would,
that's just all trachea. It's
yeah, and I was just like my if something, I'm wearing a very tight sports bra right now, and I don't care if you hit my boobs. And I know there's like no malicious, intent over it, but like just I'd rather you hit my boobs than my throat because it kind of hurts more.
Ay. That's so funny.
Yeah, so I told, when I was like starting out, I told the guys like, dude, I know that you guys have respect for me and you have no ill intent and like no malicious, thoughts about this, but just because I'm a girl, I don't really expect you to go easy on me. Because if the guys go easy on me, I won't really learn anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, ever since then, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna take this, clothesline right to the chest, just slam on it. And it was nice because like, they didn't really, baby me the way others would have expected, which was nice because at least, I got tougher throughout the years. And whoever I face, I'm fine. Like even if it's a guy, even if it's a girl, like intergender matches, I'm fine because I had like that tougher type of training.
Yeah. Now I'm curious about injuries. What's been your worst in an injury?
I think I dislocated my shoulder once.
Eeh.
Yeah, well, just pop that in there real quick. I was out for like, a month or two, and then I went back into training again. It was, I think the doctor said it was good that it was kind of like a, like a
clean dislocate.
Clean, like, this clean dislocate. It was just like, there's nothing like torn.
What happened? Like, how did it happen? Was it during training or was it during a fight?
It was like during training when I was like starting out in the earlier days. I think it was like a suplex, but like it was like a girl. It was like a training match. Me and a girl were having like practice and stuff, and I think because I was still starting out, so I wasn't really that great yet. But yeah, I was doing like a flip over. I was getting suplexed, and it kind of landed like this
on the side.
Yeah. So I think that just like bloop. The doctor was just like, bite something. I was like, okay. So I like took a towel and then they were just like, puck. Yeah. It was kind of icky, but yeah. Well, other than that, I think like I've had
like for that, it looks a lot worse than it is. Like when you look at somebody that has had their shoulder popped out, they look like
yeah. But like, like the initial pain is there, but after that, it passes.
Yeah. Man.
Like nothing like a bit of like a painkillers wouldn't, help. I think other than that, I've got booped in the head once or twice or landed on the mat once or twice. But other than that, no other like really big injuries. Like I've thankfully, like I've never had like a bone broken or like a torn whatever. ACL, MCL, all that. I've never had, Thank goodness. Yeah.
Nice. Well, just keep working on your lateral exercises then to
Yeah.
prevent that from happening. But
I think my mom's expensive knee pads and supports help.
fair. Now, did you say like you were part of the first wrestlers then to start this wrestling league, or has it been around?
Um. Okay, so just like a bit of an insider thing, like in PWR, we had like batch one, batch two.
Okay,
I was part of batch two.
gotcha. Okay,
So like the batch one were like the founders. They were
because
the
then
ones who like
I was gonna
started it
say
all.
like who taught you then? So you got taught by the first
The
generation.
Yeah. And then I think
Gotcha.
the first generation was taught by like a foreign wrestler that was just like passing by.
Hmm.
Yeah, I oh my god, I forgot
Haven't
his
they had a
name.
WrestleMania in Manila? I want to say they have.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Like they've had like, live shows in Manila, but it is really, I think, because like how Manila, the Philippines is like a big vacation place.
Hmm.
Like some guys just like some wrestlers go there for vacation and then they find out like there's like a wrestling scene.
Gotcha.
And I think when we were starting out also, I think because Chili Willy from ECW,
I don't know a
not
Chili Willy.
yeah, he was like a big wrestler in, I think, the early 2000s, or
Okay.
yeah, like something like that. He actually retired here in the Philippines, like
Cool.
outside of Manila, but like he would go to like the metro once in a while, and then
Hmm.
like he would teach us some stuff, like because we really had no one. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, so we were thankful that there was like passing wrestlers, or just like people who would go here on vacation, then they find out there's like PWR, like a wrestling scene. They were like pass by, like, hey, if you guys want, I can trade with you, give you some tips and stuff like that. And we were really thankful because we were really like building the wrestling scene from the ground up.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, that's and then now, it's amazing that all of those like years of hard work, and like those not begging, but like really asking for help from foreign wrestlers and people, it finally paid off, because now at least through me, at least through what I've been exposed by, like Netflix, not people know now like there's a whole wrestling scene in the Philippines, not
Yeah.
yet alone, just amazing, honestly.
Yeah. Um, with that, so I'm curious to know, I guess, the formula for your wrestling style. You mentioned Rey Mysterio. He was like a flyer,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So it's what other or which other wrestlers did have you nitpicked from their styles?
Oh, Gail Kim.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
uh because like the thing was, I was flexible, well, still am flexible, because I was like a cheerleader and I had taekwondo, and because taekwondo like really focuses on like kicks.
Hmm.
It's like I would have like a high kick, like a roundhouse kick, and then like an axe kick. So I use those elements, like my flexibility and my cheerleading background, to be like a, what you call it, I really don't want to be like the power girl, because that's not me.
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not it. Like I'm not like bulky, I'm lean, and like I don't want to say I'm thin. But yeah, I I opted to go like the whole acrobatic slash fast and like
Gotcha.
flexible type of moves,
Yeah.
because they felt more comfortable to me, because they were closer to my taekwondo and my cheerleading roots,
Hmm.
and it looked more natural inside the ring too.
Hmm.
Because like I don't like it when like wrestlers do something that doesn't look like they should be doing it. Like
Okay.
imagine me doing like a power bomb. It kind of just doesn't fit, you know?
But like that's the thing is every now and then there's like a wrestler who has a move that's just so out there that
Mhm.
doesn't seem like it would be something they would do, but then they would do it. It's kind of
Yeah.
like when you see like the bigger wrestlers get onto the turnbuckles, and it's like, what are they doing on there? But then that's their thing, you know.
Yeah, I guess. I think there was one time I did like a power bomb, but then it kind of doesn't count because it was like a superplex. So I was just like the girl who was actually no, it was funny because it was like I was part of a tag team with like a guy, and like we were facing two guys.
Mhm.
It was funny because they were set up there and I was like the one, doing the power bomb. Like my partner would be like helping me. I was like, it's funny because like it's like a once in a,
Yeah.
not once in a lifetime, but like once in a blue
Crystal's
moon type
going
of.
for the power bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just really funny. But like I don't think I'll do like a power bomb.
Hmm.
I think like like I would do power moves like out of desperation against like a girl. That would make more sense.
Gotcha.
But like if it's against a guy, that guy just doesn't know unless the guy is like smaller than me.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, so I mean
And
it's cute, but it's not something I see me doing anytime
yeah,
soon.
fair. And then what's the politics of the storylines like within this wrestling league? Where what's the storyline that you've been given, and do do you want to break out of that?
Ah, um, to be honest, I haven't really been like given a storyline.
Hmm.
Like I was part of a storyline like in 2018, but like 2017 actually. But then 2018 came around, and 2019 I was actually kind of like I was in and out of the country because like I feel so blessed about this, but like I would go to like Malaysia, or like I would go to another country every month or so, like or every other month to wrestle. And I felt so thankful because like I was like the first person out of the Philippines like that they would invite out like regularly
Hmm.
to other countries to be part of the show, and I felt so blessed about it. So like the promoters here in the Philippines and the bookers, they didn't really give me like a solid storyline
Hmm. Okay.
because they knew that I would probably prioritize the, international booking. Because I'm gonna be honest, it kind of pays more.
Yeah.
Also, free flight and stay at another country.
Yeah,
It's
for
kind of
sure.
fun.
Yeah.
So I would kind of prioritize the international booking more than the Philippine one. So
Mhm.
thankfully, like they didn't really give me like a storyline to follow through. It
Mhm.
was just that if whenever we had like an international guest, like there would be times that this guy's coming into wrestle, this guy's going to the Philippines for like a vacation, and he asked if he wanted to be part of the show, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So they would give me like an opponent from another country, and they actually one time they had me part of like a big, like a Royal Rumble type match.
Mhm.
They had to pull me out last second because another like a wrestler from Japan was coming in, and she wanted to wrestle, and there's like, Vernice, you're out of that match, we're putting you into this one. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay. I was partly excited because that was my first time going into that Royal Rumble type of match and
Yeah.
not getting eliminated early, because like I was part of it like the initial years, but then like being a newbie, those new people kind of just get thrown out immediately.
Yeah.
So I was like excited because like now I kind of have seniority and I would last like a few minutes, but like you're out.
Nice.
I was like, oh, okay. Honestly, it's still great though.
Yeah.
So
Fair. And then because you let me digress into this first though.
yeah, yeah.
Um, because I'm still curious to know about the traveling and all that stuff with now that COVID is a thing. But because you mentioned the Royal Rumble, when I think Royal Rumble, the second thought after like WrestleMania and all that stuff is video games. Like the Royal Rumbles in the video games, that was my shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what was your influence with wrestling and video games?
Oh, sadly, I don't really have like a wrestling and video game type connection because
Hmm.
as I said, like I'm a shoutcaster, but I normally play like battle royales and first person shooters.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But the thing was like when I was growing up, I grew up to like a single mom.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
not that the money was tight. It was just like, we had like our priorities,
Yeah.
like the needs before the wants. Even if I wanted to get like a, console, I never, up to this day, actually, I've never had any PSs or
Oh wow.
Xboxes.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've never had like a PS1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5.
Yeah.
I've never had like an Xbox 360 or one. Yeah, I've never had one of those. But like, I think the biggest thing that I had was like a Game Boy Color back in the day, and I played like
That's funny.
Pokemon. It was funny because like it was like a secondhand Game Boy
Hmm.
from like a neighbor that my mom just bought because
Yeah.
I was begging to get this game. Like
Yeah.
I really wanted one.
No, I
Well,
feel
thankfully
that.
my neighbor upgraded to a advance, the one that folds,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Game
Yeah.
Boy Advance. Yeah, so he was trying to get rid of his color. I
Hmm.
still remember that Game Boy Color was like apple green. So funny. But yeah,
I think the Game Boy
sadly I
colors
didn't
that were here
really.
were like the purple ones.
Yeah, oh yeah, but sadly I didn't really get to play any like um
Hmm.
WWE stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did, however, I think like back in like 2019, I bought an ex-boyfriend. Well, we were together at the time, but I bought him like a WWE 2K20 or 29
Hmm.
or 2K19. But
Okay.
yeah, we would play together, and I was just like, that doesn't make sense. Because I'm like a wrestler. I'm experienced at this point, and I was like, why? How? What?
That's so funny. So like, what was it? What triggered you?
I think it was just like uh he was doing like a clothes, like a throw to the ropes, and then my character suddenly like go to the ropes again, and then like so something happened, and I was like, how is that possible? Like that doesn't make sense. If you put that in real, I was just like I had to like pause the game because I was like, I don't think that's possible. No.
That's so funny.
Yeah, because I think it was like we were running the ropes and running the ropes, and then he throws me to like the corner, and then it just doesn't make sense. Like if you see that in like a normal match in like a
Mhm.
wrestling show, it kind of just like run rope, and then meet in the middle, throw to the corner. It just
Hmm. Maybe. Try it. See how it'll play out if you
I,
try it.
but it was just like a bit of like control, like smashing on my side. I was just like, what the
Well,
hell
that's
is
why it
happening? What?
doesn't make sense because the computer doesn't even understand what you're pressing.
No, but like the thing was, my ex boyfriend at the time wasn't any better, so he was just also smashing. Cause like he's only ever played like adventure games, I think, or like
Hmm.
he used to like play so much Red Dead Redemption. Like he finished the game like 6 times or something, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you a WWE game just because you're dating a wrestler, and I kind of also want to play. But yeah, it wasn't really a good experience for me. I get it though. It also, I think, actually, like recently, because of the Netflix thing, I kind of marked out because one of the fans like did like a fan video of me on Twitter.
Hmm.
There's just like eight like a wrestling game. They kind of modded me into it, and then they put my finisher into it, and I was like,
That's
it was
fun.
just a short clip, and I was like, oh my god, what? I would never do that in real life. Oh my god, that is my finisher in a video game. That is so cool. Because
Yeah.
like I think the guy, I was like, my character was like laying on the ground, and then the guy was on top, and then for some reason I knocked him down, and then he was sitting on the turnbuckle, and then my character power bombs him to the ground, and I was like, I will never do that. But then I climb up the rope, and then I do my finisher on top of the rope, and like this whole like video game version of me, and I was like marking out. I was like, oh my god, oh my, that is my finisher. Wow, that is so cool.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
that's essentially what I wanted to allude to was like, did because in a way that can also be seen as training. If you're
Yeah.
playing the game and you're also studying what moves seem to fit, like
Yeah.
that would be cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, no. So then with that, are you still a button smasher then, or are you actually decent if you were to play it again?
If we say on the console, I will be a button smasher for real.
That's
Because like
fair.
like I've said, I've never owned any consoles. Like
Hmm.
closest thing to a console I've owned is like a Game Boy.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the PC, I think I would be more like at least strategic about it because I play like battle royales and like um first person shooters.
Yeah.
Mostly like Valorant actually, just that. But yeah.
Fair.
Uh but yeah, if you give me a console, like I would be just like, what is this?
That's fair.
I'll just be like, what is the R1? Oh, this okay, right. I'll just be like, oh my god, what is happening?
Now, going back to real life
Yeah.
wrestling. Um, so you're traveling, you're going to all these countries, and then the
Hmm.
pandemic hits. Where did your mind go? What happened with the wrestling league during it?
I was honestly kind of annoyed because like the 2019 to me was like a big year. That was the year that the WWE tryout happened. That's the year that I went to Japan for the first time and China, and they wanted me to like come back and wrestle
Yeah,
more.
because it feels like momentum is happening, and then
Yeah.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden,
Yeah, it just stopped. Actually, I still had like one match before the borders were like, it was like I think 2 weeks before the borders kind of closed down. I had like one last match in Malaysia. And then I was actually booked to do a match in Thailand on March. And then I was booked to do another match the same month in China.
mm,
It's kind of scary.
yeah,
But it wasn't like the it wasn't in Wuhan. It
mhm,
was like some other province of China. I think it was in Harbin. But it was going to be like, I was booked to like have a match in Thailand and then in China and then another one in Malaysia. It was supposed to be like, I wanted the momentum to keep going, keep
mm,
pushing up. But it suddenly also this is like okay. I'm just gonna say this. Oh my god, I'm so pissed. Because like um January of 2020,
mhm,
I ordered like 50 t-shirts, like or something like that, 50 t-shirts, like my merch. And then I was going to sell it in, said countries like Thailand
mhm.
and China. And now I have like, 40 remaining shirts here still unsold. And I'm just like, oh, my profit. It's
Oh,
nowhere. But yeah, it's just like when the COVID thing hit, I kind of, I was relying on my really like my savings for the most part of the year because COVID really hit like badly here in the Philippines. Like,
yeah.
yeah, so we didn't have like vaccines until like 6 months after the borders closed down.
Mm,
Thankfully, my mom was able to get, one of the first early like dosages earlier on, but sadly it was like uh it was really hard here. But thankfully I was able to find like a honestly it's just a mediocre job, like a call center job during
mhm,
like the latter part of 2020
yeah.
just to keep me going, just to keep me by. But like wrestling wise, I haven't been able to see or touch the ring or even like the training center
Still,
because yeah, still
God.
because we like in Peterborough we were planning to like um start training again,
Mm,
but then Omicron hit this time around and we were just like, okay, plans to dust again. And
damn.
I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
You were finally given some hope that something's gonna happen, but wow, okay, never mind.
Mm,
But yeah, sadly, still no wrestling. But I do like train kind of. I work out at home. There are gyms like open out there, but like I just can't really trust it
yeah, no, that's
still.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah, because like people breathe heavily, and I've seen some guys like breathe heavily, and like they would take off their like
That that could
it's
be like just a reason in itself to not go to a gym because
Yeah.
people breathe heavily.
Yeah. Also, because like I feel like on some like Instagram stories that I've seen, like people going to the gym, some people take off their masks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I'm not really comfortable with that.
that's fair. That's fair. No,
And
as
like you
long as
know how they're, you don't know where those people have been. You don't
yeah.
know who's they've been in touch with. So I'd rather
So
just
what's
it's
happening
still
with the venues that you used to wrestle at? What are those being used for right now?
the venue that we used to wrestle at actually is now open again. So thankfully that's, still an option. They also I think contacted our president. They're still open to having like shows there for us one day. But like right now we
Hmm.
can't, like even if we want to put on a show, we kind of don't want to at the same time because like
Yeah,
everyone's been out of wrestling for 2 years now.
yeah.
So we still want to do training first before we try and put on a show, even,
Was
But the
there
thing
ever
is,
a
like,
thought to go online? Because I remember the like WWE and stuff like tried
yeah,
to
yeah.
yeah,
The thing is, we tried to. It was
yeah.
just like because we don't really have the funds that WWE has.
Hmm.
Also, like I think in WWE, it's better because they're all like most of the wrestlers just stay in the same place, right? They're all in Florida,
Yeah.
Orlando. And they have like the training center in there. So like they had places to sleep and quarantine the people and like no one gets in and out or out. And but here like we all live separately, which means we're probably gonna have to get tested every time
Hmm.
we have to rent out the venue and then get the ring in there and then have the people tested and rent for lights and cameras and whatnot. So it
Yeah.
was just kind of too much budget for we don't know what we're gonna get back, you know because
Fair.
it we can't really just put it on YouTube and like we don't really just want to get like 100 pesos out of like this whole thing that we
Yeah.
set up. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was just too much of a gamble for PW to take. We wanted to, but it was
Yeah.
just like too much.
Eesh. Well, I hope that, everything clears up soon enough and gets you guys back in doing what you love because
Yeah.
from what I saw, I'm I'm still so thrilled that there's that happening in the Philippines. How long has that league been around?
Um. Oh my god! I think they started like 2014. Six. I think it's
Oh
2014.
wow. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Because the
or
last
20
time I was in the
either.
Philippines was 2012, so I wouldn't even
Uh
have seen it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thing was in 2012 they started the Facebook group.
Gotcha.
Okay, so like the way PWR started was like there's a Facebook group of like just wrestling fans,
Hmm.
and like they would like discuss like wrestling stuff, like what happened here. And
Yeah.
then they were like because they also wanted to be like wrestlers, they started like cutting promos against each other, just trying to do that. And then one guy offered like, hey, why don't we do training, why don't we set up this whole wrestling scene in the Philippines. And that's where it started, which is honestly amazing because a few years later we they set up the whole training thing. They found
Yeah.
a trainer for from outside the country, and it just snowballed into this now. And
Yeah.
us owning our own ring, renting out venues, having TJ Perkins and Jeff Cobb fly in
Hmm.
and wrestle for us. It honestly amazing, from just like this tiny little Facebook group on
Yeah.
that
Now
consisted of like 10 people.
I curious now, what's funding like? Is the government helping out? Because this
No.
is a legit arts thing, so this
Yeah,
is all
no.
self-funded. Wow.
Yeah. Also I think now because we were able to get like a sponsor, I think, and there would be some brands and some companies that would, have us. I think one of like a mall in the metro funded us for like like they got us for like a Father's Day thing.
Hmm.
It was like an X deal, but they said like if ever you guys wanna hold a wrestling show in one of our malls, we'll give you rent for like a discounted rate.
Yeah.
And we are just like, okay, yes, please.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
so
it's very
funny.
cool.
That's awesome, man. I'm but like I just gotta hope that, you know, COVID just decides to, leave sooner than later, just so that can become a
Yeah.
thing that we could start praying for. So
Yeah,
yeah,
hopefully,
so
hopefully.
hopefully. Um, how do you pick your hair color? Because I saw like you were wondering what you should do next for your
I
hair,
know,
and
I still don't know.
then
Honestly, it just depends on how I feel, I guess. Cause like, but the thing was, I had like a blue hair color for like 3 years when I was
Mhm.
starting out. I think it was like 2018, not 2016, no, 2016, 17, 18. I was just mainly like blue all the
Mhm.
time, blue, blue,
Yeah.
blue, blue. And I was just like, I started wanting like other colors, so I would put in like some purple streaks, and then like in 2020 I just like decided like, hey, I'm just going silver or gray or platinum, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever happens to my hair. But yeah, now I don't know where this is going, but yeah, I'm like just like blonde, like faded out purple right now. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Was that the same purple then that was from the Netflix thing? Like, or did you have
no,
other colors since then?
after the Netflix thing, I kind of, because that was filmed in like 2020, I think.
Yeah.
So I had like purple hair and then blue hair, and then decided to just grow my hair out after that, and I was just like, I'm gonna take a break from like bleaching my hair.
I want to cut this, but then before I do, I want to like give it a color. I want to
Ah,
do a little something exciting, and like I'm leaning towards like silver, just to like do something really dramatic, and cuz
yeah.
like it's like down my back. So I'm
Oh,
yeah. So we'll see what happens. But like I just want to do something wild and then do that for like a year and then chop it.
yeah. Honestly, that would be amazing. I think you'd look great with like gray silver hair.
Yeah.
But like, I'm gonna warn you, like it's kind of it's really damaging because like
Yeah.
it's a lot of bleaching. But honestly, it's kind of worth it because like after you go silver, you can just go any color you want. You can go like blue or
Yeah.
purple or red
I'm
even.
gonna shave my head. Like that's my goal.
Yeah, I
Is
mean
to
after
go back to that.
just if you're gonna shave your head after that, just go damage all of it,
Yeah.
with bleach, and then it's gonna return to healthy again. But yeah,
Yeah.
I honestly go for it because some people like are too scared of damaging their hair and coloring it, but honestly, like you said, you're gonna shave it off anyways, so might as well do your worst
Yeah.
and do all the crazy colors.
Um, it's getting close to that hour mark. I think we passed it, but
Yeah.
and I still have so many more questions. Um, but I guess with the guests that I usually have on, we also touch on the topic of mental health.
Mm,
And because you spoke on that moment in
yeah.
your life where you were depressed,
Mm-hmm.
um, what was that like? How did you identify that you were depressed and needed help? And then what was your process of, I guess, understanding that, okay, school was, I guess, identifying what got
Yeah.
you depressed as well?
Um, actually, uh, oof, this is kind of gonna get dark, but
Yeah,
back in
we're
like I
getting
think,
serious now. This
yeah,
is
yeah, back in I think that was 2013. I actually tried to like kill myself.
Mm,
So it was like a really low point in my life. I tried to overdose on pain meds, but uh, my mom, she was able to get me to the hospital as fast as possible, and she was crying the whole time. I felt so sorry.
mm,
And like I told her like what was happening and like why I wanted to do
made
this.
the
Like,
choice.
yeah, I told her like the things that have been keeping me, you know, uh the things that keep me awake and keep bothering my head. And she actually just she apologized to me, and that kind of broke my heart.
Mm.
And ever since then, I was actually locked up in like a, not locked up, but like after the overdose, they had like a
They have
psych
to watch
ward. They
over you,
just,
yeah.
yeah, they watched over me for like 2-3 weeks, and then after that they released me, and they said like, I think she's genuinely gonna try to get better, because after seeing my mom bawl her eyes out and cry like that, I didn't wanna. I kind of did it again to my mom because the wrestling, but I didn't want to see my mom that sad ever again. And also my uncle, my family, they were just like, we're so sorry, we didn't know this happened to you, blah 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 blah.
Mm.
Because like before, I was like a very secretive person. I would never like tell people how I felt or like what was bothering me. I tried to keep strong and not bother anyone. And then uh I was like, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and borderline personality disorder. And they said like basically like bounce off each other, because borderline personality disorder, it's either high or low. Like you're either extremely happy, like it's extremes, I think.
I
So
think
like
it's super ironic that you're diagnosed with a personality disorder and then here you are, Vernice, and here you are, Crystal.
well, it's true, but like the borderline personality disorder is basically like, there's no middle ground between your emotions. Like it's either you're extremely happy, or just like, it's like if I'm happy, I'm not just like happy, I'm like
Yeah,
really fucking happy.
really
Or if I'm
joyous.
sad, I'm just like, I'm not just sad, I'm just like depressed. And like when I'm depressed, that's when the major depressive disorder kicks in and just like takes it all.
Hmm.
But uh I realized, like, going through the motions, like being in school, I changed my whole degree from international studies pre-law to music business management, thinking that that would make me happy if I was more in like an arts type of you know course, but it didn't really. So I was just like, at that point in my life, I was just like, partying, drinking every weekend, because also I was in college and I was a teenager. But none of it really made me happy. Like, the happy drunk would come out anytime, but like after that would just be like, no. And then, when me and my friends tried out for the wrestling thing, and we got in. Like I hadn't had like that type of happy, in a while, like without the help of like alcohol.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, oh my god, I got in. Wow, I got in. Like I was genuinely happy that I passed the audition. And then, it wasn't really smooth sailings when I got in and tried out, because there's the body pain. There's also like the weird looks from guys that, oh, there's a girl. I'm not used to this. Uh, cause some guys, like, some guys are not like, they're more comfortable with the bros, the other
Mm.
guys, other than the girls. But yeah. Uh and then, I just kept training, and I kept pushing myself to get off my bed. It wasn't like a, like, training before was just like a weekly thing. But then I just kept pushing myself to get out of bed, and I pushed myself to go to the gym. And because I think like working out also gives you like
Yeah.
endorphins, right? The happy hormones. But it started to actually just like, mentally help me. Also, like, the endorphins actually just help my medicine even like go further. Like I had antidepressants and anti anxiety meds, but all of like me just trying to push myself to get off the bed, it eventually led me to, just train, and then started being happy about it.
Yeah.
And like started genuinely being able to like function as a human being, instead of just like, scrolling through the internet or watching like countless videos on YouTube that don't really e- end up with
Fulfill you
anything. But
anywhere, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I I actually, the way I did it, it was like, just start with something small. I didn't tell myself like, hey, go out there and be a wrestler. No,
Yeah.
that wasn't the goal at the time. When I had depression, I just like get off the bed,
Mm.
go to the gym, finish the workout. You know, that was
Yeah.
just like small little goals that wouldn't, overwhelm me. Because I think like getting off the bed wouldn't really like overwhelm you. Like, hey, be a wrestler one day. Just, it, it's like a
Yeah.
different type of goal. But yeah,
No, I think
the
that's
goal
super
was just like,
important. Where
yeah,
give
just the
yourself the small
tiny
goals
goals.
and
Yeah.
then just achieve the small goals and see them as wins.
Yeah.
So
And eventually like those small goals will might even end up like, doing something for you in the future. For
mm,
in my example, like I just took the small goals like getting off of the bed, getting to the gym, finishing the workout,
yeah.
and then like pushing myself like tiny bit by tiny bit. And now, I end up getting, featured on Netflix just because of those tiny goals that one like I did when I was depressed.
Yeah. Ahem.
Sorry.
I think that's the funniest Filipino reaction when people cough. Ahem. It's like why ahem? With that, I wonder what's your opinion on it. Um, but the state of the attention for mental health in the Philippines. Here in North
Ah,
America, it's getting better, and
yeah.
where it's becoming more mainstream to see therapists and such.
Yeah.
What's it like in the Philippines?
Uh I think it's slightly getting better because like just slightly.
Yeah.
Cuz our generation and the previous generation uh get it,
Mm,
but there are still those older or just more stern, like uh very simple minded people that would just say like you're uh there's like a saying in the Philippines like, yeah, you're not depressed, you're not sick, you're just sad, you're just
yeah.
lazy, get up,
Yeah.
do something. There's still like those people with those mindset because I think that's what they grew up with from like the previous generations. But thankfully, like my mom and like some of the people in her generation, actually most I think are more aware of what mental health is now. And of course our generation, the millennials and now Gen Z's.
Gen Z's,
Actually,
yeah.
yeah, they're just all like, because I think also because of the internet, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think the internet major is a major part of it, because before, for my mom's generation, they didn't really have that,
Hmm.
I mean they had it like, in the 90s, but it wasn't like as big of a thing as it is now.
I like associate that, like especially with your mom's generation, with
Mm-hmm.
your Lola's generation, where
Mm-hmm.
it's still close to the colonial days where church is the answer,
Yeah.
right? So unfortunately, there's that realization where if you don't really attach yourself to the church,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't really have that, and you don't have that connection. You don't have that
Yeah.
means of finding church as a therapy.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm really interested in wondering where the position
Um.
is. Like if you were to tell your friends that you were in therapy, what would they say?
Yeah. They would be like, "Oh, that's fine."
Hmm.
No, I mean honestly, like there are still some parents or like some grandparents out there that they believe that, like, pray church, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Or like they're just like, there are still some Filipino families that are like that. But thankfully, because of the internet and my mom is pretty progressive. Also, she's like a coach, like a certified life coach and stuff like that, so she
Cool.
gets it.
Yeah.
So it's very cool because like she's open to learning about the human ways and society and stuff like that. So thankfully, like that's her job, and she was able to adapt, and she was able to support me in a way that I don't think other not that other parents wouldn't be able to do it, but she was able to support me in a way that is connected to her job and what she does as a living, like as a life coach
Nice.
and as an international coach. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was really nice because she helped me through things as well. If I
Mm.
couldn't like, do something for myself, like she would be there, asking me the questions that I needed to hear actually.
Hmm.
Like, because like for example, like there would be like things that I would be in denial about, like, school. She asked me once, like, are you still happy to go to school? Because in my head I would be saying like, I need to get a degree, I need to graduate to be successful. And she asked me like, are you still happy? And I actually answered no.
Mm.
And then that's how I figured that school isn't making me happy.
Yeah.
But there are still some parents out there, and like, the older type of generations, the lolos and the lolas, of course, and some of the parents as well, that still believe that you need to graduate to be successful. You need to go to church for
Yeah.
God to bless you, and go to confession to get your
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 soul
sins.
clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, it it's sad that some people think as like that mental health is just like a lazy thing. Like, uh, I think the saying's like, wag ka magmukmuk dyan. So like,
Mm.
don't be like a lazy ass there. Don't be like don't sulk around.
Yeah.
Just do something. And I think like, or like, wag ka magdrama dyan. Like, don't be like a dramatic person there. That's still a thing for some families, because that's, some families grew up with that mindset, and it's still
Yeah.
kind of taking them a bit longer to, readjust, or like, take in what mental health is about. But thankfully, like, my generation, and the younger generation, oh, I feel old, like the younger generation nowadays, they know what mental health is about. But yeah, some parents nowadays are very open about it.
Mm. Okay.
And I think it's funny as well, because what I think one of my mom's friends, or like one of the people that my mom knows, uh read up on like mental health, and like, what's it's about, and like what are the diseases. And I think she saw like a psychiatrist, and she ended up realizing that, oh, she probably has bipolar disorder.
Mm.
That's why she's always like either happy or mad, like she's snapping all the time. And it's nice to know that, some of the older generations are, open to change, or like open to get things checked out, because they realize something about themselves. So the situation is getting better, but there are still those, old people that just refuse, sadly.
That's fair. Well, I'm definitely happy to hear that, and I'm
Yeah,
happy that your mom is a life coach and is able to ask those right questions, because I think that's
yeah.
super important, especially for somebody who's pursuing the arts. Um,
Mm,
and that's how I view wrestling, is that it's an art form. And
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, no, that's awesome. And I'm happy you got out of that funk, and
Oh yeah.
you fell into wrestling. And
Yeah.
it seems like the cliche thing of saying, "Oh, it saved your life," but it feels
Yeah,
like it did.
it kind of did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there are still days that are dark for me. Like
Mm.
there would be some weeks that I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. I kind of don't feel like doing anything. I There would be days that I would get so anxious and so scared, because honestly, back in like 2020, I didn't know what was gonna happen to me, because COVID was such a thing that it just happened so fast, and like,
Yeah.
I what I love was taken away. And I was scared, because I know that like the old days would never come back, the normal days would never come back, because like they like, in a way, like my mom keeps saying like, hey, there will be a new normal.
Yeah.
Masks will be a thing. I don't think it's gonna go away anytime soon, at least. I mean, in America, it's fine, because like people go out there maskless. But here, even if you're vaccinated, you can't go out maskless. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah. I don't think like the old normal would ever come back. And there was like a week, or like a few times that I would get so anxious, and I'm just like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't if do I just go back to resting, and that I would end up overthinking. Like back in 2020, and actually just last year as well. I would get so down about it, and then my mom would help pull me up, and like some guys and some girls on Instagram would message me sometimes. I can't wait to see you back in the ring one day, Queen, or like Crystal. I want to see you back in the ring one day, or like some guys would even say, like, hey, if ever I'm in the Philippines, I wish I could catch a show one day. And I'm just like, those messages and those fans who message me sometimes like that, it kind of pulls me up, and I'm just like, oh my gosh,
Mm.
thank you so much, because I was having a bad week, I was having a bad day, I was having you know doubts today
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it's really helpful, the people who help to chat me
Yeah.
up and Instagram. So I'm really, I feel blessed, honestly.
Oh, that's beautiful. And then I echo that sentiment where people that you've never met
Yeah.
would have such a profound effect. And I feel that's just an attribute to us being human, where
Yeah.
that kind of connection just makes us or puts us into a different mindset. And I think that
Yeah.
it's important for us as humans to remember where just if you know say be nice, say compliments,
Yeah.
don't just hold it in.
Yeah. Honestly, like for me, like my favorite quote, actually, I think this would be my life quote. Be kind and be gentle. I think that's what my Lola used to say. My grandmom used to
Mm,
say, be kind and be gentle. And to me, that's become like a life motto to me, because like be kind and be gentle is, it doesn't really take anything from me. You don't lose anything from being kind and being caring and
yeah,
uh, gentle and understanding in a way. I mean, honestly, like being kind to other people might mean so little to you, but it might mean the world to them.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
know what they're going through. Being just like a bit of a compliment, like a bit of a nice thing to do. Like you see someone struggling to open the door because they have luggage, just give a hand, like, open the door, or like wait for them to finish. Or like, there's this, just the little things doesn't really take anything from you. It doesn't take your money. It doesn't,
yeah.
if you have extra time, it doesn't really take your time.
That's the thing,
And
though. It boils
yeah,
down to time, and I believe that everybody thinks they're a lot busier than they really are.
yeah, true.
So then they have a moment that allots them to be nice, but then they think they don't have time to do it. So I think if the world just kind of slows down just a bit, I feel it
Yeah.
would be a lot nicer.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that as well. But like there are some people who have a lot of time on their hands. Like, some people leave harsh comments online. That's also why
Mm,
like it's honestly annoying.
yeah.
But thankfully, like, the people who are on my profile, thankfully, like none of them do that.
Mm,
And if there are some people who do that, I just instantly block them, because I kind of don't need your
that
harshness
energy.
or
Yeah.
irritation. Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's
Because
awesome.
we're already going through a lot.
Mhm.
Like people, like you don't know what people's stories are, unless they tell you.
That's
Like
the
they don't
thing, though,
really. Yeah,
is
but
everybody assumes that they know what other people are going through, when
yeah,
in reality, it's like, just shut up.
they
No, you
you
don't.
really don't.
Yeah.
It's like a harsh comment to maybe to you, because it's a normal criticism, but you don't know what that person that you left their comment on is going through. Like maybe
Yeah.
that person like is having the shittiest day in their life,
Yeah.
and you just put like, hey, you look ugly in their comment. It just kind of tops on their like really bad day,
Yeah.
but like I mean, yeah, it doesn't take anything out of you to be mean, but that person is gonna receive it on the other end.
Hmm.
So like it doesn't really, you don't, it doesn't take anything for you to be mean. It doesn't take anything for you to be nice. I'd
Yeah.
rather do the nice than the mean, you know?
Yeah. No, that's fair. But Vernice,
Yeah.
Crystal,
Yes.
Vernice, Crystal, Gabriel,
Just the full
thank you.
name, just so.
Thank you so much for coming out
Oh, for
and
sure.
lending me your time and lending
Yeah,
me
of
the
course.
better part of your morning.
Yeah.
um, because that's part of the reason too. Like I also like having these conversations at night, is because it's like a wind down, but then
Yeah.
Yeah, you're about to start your day. So what does your days look like then? Since there's no more wrestling, what are you filling it with?
Um, if I have like shoutcasting, if I have jobs, I would set time apart. But nowadays, I would, because I'm trying to study Japanese.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Because
So I want to go to Japan.
hmm,
As much as I love the Philippines, like the thing is, like Japan has like a big wrestling scene. You
yeah,
know, yeah, like that's where like Shinsuke Nakamura, Ibushi comes from. Those people like amazing wrestlers, and uh I honestly don't know if like the Philippines gonna get any better anytime soon. And I've
yeah,
always wanted to go to Japan ever since I was a kid. Like I love Japanese food and origami and hanabi. Watching like flower viewing,
yeah.
like the sakura tree, and I wanted to experience that. Also, I want to experience snow one time at least in my life.
That's fair. Yeah.
So yeah. So I've always wanted to go to, stay in Japan for a bit. Also, the wrestling scene is huge there. Actually,
Yeah.
that's the main
Yeah.
thing. The wrestling scene is huge. So that's the reason I am studying Japanese.
Sweet.
And other than that, I think I just like, well, today what my day is gonna look like is, I'm gonna, after this, I'm probably gonna have like lunch, and then let the food settle down, and then I'm gonna work out, and then after that I have to review for my test later on, because I have class later at 6 p.m. And
Class
yeah,
for
I
what?
just Japanese.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, so I have like a kanji exam, and I'm just like, oh gosh, it just looks like a bunch of lines to me, but like sometimes it makes sense, those lines make sense, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So then
every day is
you're
just like,
taking this like at a school then?
it's like an online school, yeah. So
Gotcha.
like it's
Okay.
like courses, like language courses.
Mhm.
It's actually difficult. Oh my gosh, like I couldn't have like a more difficult language to learn. But
That's
thing
funny.
was, I always wanted to learn, like when I was like younger. I always wanted to learn like a third language.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just stuck at home. I might as
Fair.
well do it something other
Yeah,
than
yeah,
just,
yeah.
I don't want to just like work out every day and not do anything
And
else.
then just turn into the power wrestler for the
Yeah,
next for the
not
next
about that.
season.
Yeah. Next time you see me, I'm just power bombing and superplexing everyone. No, I'm not.
That's
So
funny.
yeah.
But yeah, no, again, thank you so much. And I hope to come on back. I'll gladly have you back on the show and
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
just
yeah, for
shoot the
sure.
shit and talk
Yeah.
randomness. But other than that, everybody, thanks for tuning in to the 2 Degrees podcast brought to you by the Play On Foundation. Vernice, aka Crystal, she's gonna be back on the scene soon. Fingers crossed, hopefully. But in the meantime, check out Netflix and Midnight in Asia, the Manila edition, not only because Filipinos are awesome, but because she's gonna absolutely blow your mind with her wrestling moves. But other than that, thanks for tuning in and mag-ingat kayo.